All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to the Professional Goblin Games. God damn it, I always do that. Professional Goblin Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Scott. With me, as always, is
Mike Myler. Hello, everyone.
And our third host.
I'm Savannah Broadway.
And joining us today is the indomitable, the fantastic, the wonderful, the magnificent Kevin. Tell people who you are.
Hey, Kevin Glusing.
Who are you, what do you do, and why do we care?
Oh, sorry. So I am the lead designer for Samurai Sheepdog, role-playing game design, and just board games and gaming in general that we work with. I'm also the owner and lead designer of North Winter Press.
One more time?
Okay.
Dark what? The lead designer. It's the last part of your last sentence there. What was that?
Oh, lead designer and owner of North Winter Press.
Ah, okay. I thought you said Dark Orifice, and I was like, I would have remembered Dark Orifice. Yeah, that's a big difference.
See, I thought you said Dwarf Fortress, and I'm like, really? That is something I did not know about you.
Yeah.
Right.
What if it was like the Dark Orifices of a Dwarf Fortress, and that was just like your whole Okay.
Oh my god, I would play that game, man.
I would probably get into that.
Let's do this. Like that's our next product.
I'll keep that in mind for a maturity line.
You play as Lemmywinks.
Oh god. So I want to show you something I got from a Gen Con a few years back. Perhaps you recall this. I still have this.
Yes, sir.
How cute.
But yeah, you guys are pretty awesome. Believe it or not, me and other people may have in fact heard of you. And if you guys couldn't see, that was a Samurai Sheepdog.
Now, did you do Fall of Man, or was that just part of the publishing house and worked with Owen? Which one?
We did. Yeah, we did work with Owen on Fall of Man.
That's
cool, I like Fall of Man a lot. It's cool. Whenever people are like, "Oh man, you should convert the Wasteland to Pathfinder," I'm like, or you could just go get Fall of Man and Broken Earth because they both did a really good job. Like,
thank you.
Yeah, I do that for what is it? Right Publishing's Kaidan too, because people are like, "Oh, convert Mystical to Pathfinder." I'm like, actually, there's a Japanese horror thing right over here. They did a great job. Just go grab it.
Well, there's lots of times where it's like, oh, what about an aquatic thing? I'm like, come on, guys. You know, Cerulean Seas exist. Perfect or not, it exists, and it's damn good. Lucas Pelosi keeps going and tagging me whenever someone brings up a Polynesian thing. I'm like, I wrote that already, yay! I do it with Maine, with Heroes of the Wave.
There's a post in the Starfinder or Pathfinder group, and somebody tagged me in because they were looking for like how to do superheroes in Pathfinder, which we totally did, and it's great and awesome. And then I added on to the post like, oh yeah, and here's the blog series where I do like Spider-Man and the Hulk and all these different superheroes, and I list off like half of them. And then immediately post after that is like the guy is like, you can't do superheroes with Pathfinder. And it's like, son of a bitch. Like literally, I just gave you links to like 24 superheroes in Pathfinder, and you're okay.
Yeah, there's some really good ones too. I know. I was looking at them after I watched your guys' last podcast.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they're pretty cool. I'm happy with that series. The
Yeah.
Venom symbiote. I'm gonna make Colossus and then put that on him and then fight people with it. It's gonna be...
Oh, what was it?
Oh.
Last week we had some guy in one of the Pathfinder groups do something similar. I got tagged in one where someone was like, "Oh, you should do like a Sentai thing or like a kind of like
Swirl.
And I'm like, and someone tagged me because we did the Sentai hero and the magical girl for Gonzo 2, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's right here, we did it. And they're like, someone should do it. I'm like, here's the link. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. Someone should do it. I'm like, all right, guys, good job. Fantastic. So, Mike, I feel you there. So, Anyway, guys, if you don't know, if it's your first time watching, oh my God, you're in for a treat. But
Yes.
we have a kind of segmented, formatted show here. There's a few topics we go through, and at the end, our guest gets to kind of blab at us for a bit about whatever he wants, and that will be, I'm sure, enlightening. If you guys didn't notice, we've been gone for a few weeks. We had Gen Con, we had a bunch of scheduling stuff. We are back, baby. We are ready to go. We may be switching to Skype and getting some sexier graphics. So we are hoping for that soon. The first segment of our show, we talk about a character we're either playing in a game right now, or
normally we do a review,
yeah,
but
true.
we didn't get any product to review, which happens pretty often because we're all very busy people. So yeah,
Kevin, send us
no
something
review this
short.
Gen Con was great. Yeah, no, actually, we'll talk about it later, but Gen Con was worth it just for the gaming museum.
Yeah, that was a good one this year.
That was fucking super
what?
awesome.
The 50-year, the museum that they put up in honor of Gary Gygax.
Yeah.
It's dope.
It was really good.
If you look through my Facebook wall, I did like a live walkthrough, so you can like at least get an idea of like how much awesome there was there. But yeah.
Yeah, we got a bunch of pictures we posted too.
Yeah, it's cool. So 5 out of 5 for the 50th year Gen Con Museum. Although I don't have my whole getup on.
You don't have like a shuriken. Were there any dead turtles there?
No dead turtles. But I'm gonna give the shuriken in honor of Gary Gygax 5 knives and the shuriken.
I see how it is. I am actively planning to write an adventure that involves dead turtles, and you go and give the first one to Gary Gygax. He's not even here.
You already got technically Zombie Sky Press or whatever got the first one because there was a dead turtle.
Oh, there was a dead turtle. All right, fine. Third time's a charm.
So in a book I recently put out, Alien Party Bus with the greatest cover ever made.
You want people to play as turtles? That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
No.
Fuck you.
I put a fucking line in there, dude. There's a line in there about how they die. Specifically added, just be like, Mike, I dropped a line in there.
Is it just like they have endless suffering that seems to go on for eternity?
Actually, they are the most snarky, self-depressed assholes in the world, in the universe. So yes, they kind of do in their own humdrum life.
So you made the bike race and you made the turtles. This is worse than when Robert Brooks was like, "Oh, dude, your books are like the Toxic Avenger."
So,
all right, new topic.
Let's move on to
second big discussion. Yes, go for it.
So the second section, technically, we'll do the favorite character. Yeah, Mike is doing his little arm wave, so he knows where to time mark here.
Yes.
We're gonna, but yeah, we are at the point where we're gonna talk about a character we've either been playing recently and that we like, or as a GM, or even in another game, a character you learned something from in the past. And I will not go first, but I will tell you guys that I actually did jump in on a 5th Ed game recently, which is kind of cool. And I will tell you the glory that happened there.
I'll talk about my 5th Ed game.
Yeah, Mike, what's going on in yours?
So my shitty paladin died a while ago, and I started playing just like I did the D&D random character generator, and I got you know, what the fuck is my D&D character? And I got, I don't know, some shadow halfling, so I went with that. He's a shadow sorcerer, and I went for utility caster, which at first I thought was going to suck, and it's just proven to be super useful. Like
utility casters generally are.
Yeah, like I'm more useful than I expected. And they weren't, oh, okay. All right. So we're up in this sky castle, and we've raided it, and we're about to be attacked by cloud giants. We're trying to, like, take over the castle. And we got this dragon with us. And the dragon, you know, the giants come all into the room we're in, we decimate them, and then one of them flies off. And I'm like, okay, we'll just wait one round, dragon, and I will invisibility you and everybody on you, and then you can just go out and tear them up. And the dragon's like, nah, I can't wait for that. I'm like, okay, you know, there are ballistas and, you know, rock-throwing giants out there. Like, whatever. So they go out there, and, like, the first round, they almost get knocked out of the sky. Right? I'm like, yeah, good thing you guys are invisible. And then they, like, got up in there, the dragon flees away, and they're doing okay, and then the fighter dude gets knocked out. And I had cast a flying spell on him that was still concentrating, because while this is all going on, Belton is on his gigantic bear, Paddington, that he got from his bag of tricks. And he's just, like, flying around opening doors in the giant castle looking for shit to loot. As one does.
As one does, indeed.
Indeed, right? The healer was like, I'm waiting here for the dragon to come back. I'm like, bullshit, we're in a fucking castle. Are you serious?
So everything you can.
Yeah, I turned my bear invisible with dust of disappearance, and off we go. And so they knock him out, and, like, he's working on his falling damage and stuff. I'm like, I don't know if he gets knocked down because he's flying and he didn't cast a spell, and I'm thinking about it. It's like, oh yeah. So we looked it up. It's like, it specifically says when you're flying in combat that if you're knocked out and you're under the effects of the fly spell, you just float. So rather than fall to their deaths, Belton saves the day with the rules. And then later they're, like, fighting it, and he's, like, hacking away at this giant. He's battle master. He's superior to ice and crap. And he had his DCs calculated wrong, and I pointed it out. And I was like, woo, Belton saves the day. And all the while, I'm just, like, looting the castle while they do the actual fight.
No, that's wrong. Keeps on-
Nice.
Which
keeps going back
they
to
wouldn't be
Weedle.
able to do were it not for Belton and his
Thank
utility
God.
spells.
There we go.
So to follow that up, Mike. So I recently started playing a game in a adventure module. I don't run into many modules. Now, props to my friend Coleman who is running it. It's his first time GMing, and it's a lot of fun with him. There's a little bit of a snafu at one point, but we'll skip over that. I'm playing a battle cleric. What the fuck was
Those
his
are
name?
surprisingly satisfying in 5e.
They are. We actually didn't get. The weird thing was we didn't. Hi, Kirk. My corgi wants to say hi. We didn't get into a lot of combat. We did, but we kind of thought her and talked her way out of like all of it, which was kind of weird. What the hell
Please
is it? It's the 5e one where it's like an Aztec kind of setting. The Ulman. Anyway, we're in an Aztec temple and underground, and the story I will tell you today is how a simple detect good evil spell in 5e just wrecked an entire encounter. We go into this room and there's this fucking like tomb, and it's like an undead thing. We're like, oh shit, we know what's gonna happen. There's gonna be like some mummy or evil spirit in there, and we're gonna get fucked up, right? Well, I go up to it and I do detect good and evil. Well, if you guys don't know, it basically detects anything good, evil, magic that is good or evil, all this good and evil, like anything alignment based, any outsiders, basically. It kind of got a big power, like an upgrade from a like Pathfinder. It's a very good utility spell to have. So we walk around, and sure enough, guess what? The tomb is evil. The axe on the wall is evil. There's a big, and I figured out detect magic. There's a ward on it. I dispel it with a nat 20. We get in there, and there's this corpse. It has a helmet, a necklace, and a bunch of gear on it. And those two things are resonating as the evilest thing in the goddamn room. And I'm like, oh, it's a skeleton. And so my guy is basically retired Conan, gone priest. He is an old man who is relearning his stuff, but he has 20 strength, so he can just straight jump 20 feet. It's great. he Mario Brothers that shit around. He has a big hammer. It's great. So we go there and we loot all the stuff off the body that isn't evil. And we figure out with some knowledge checks that the helmet and the pendant together keep the corpse dead. And we're like, you know what? We should probably kill the undead thing so it doesn't go screw with people. I go, wait, I'm an old adventurer. I have an idea. So we take the ropes and we bind the shit out of the corpse. So then we take off the helmet and necklace, and it starts coming back, but it's bound in the tomb.
Oh, no.
And we all are sitting over it with weapons like this, ready to action if it goes. And all I can imagine is just this like satisfying like beat down being laid, like, you know, like dust flying everywhere and this corpse pieces everywhere. Because he never got a turn, he never recovered HP, and he just he just died. It was like that was the BBEG, but we just kind of like bound the BBEG, outfought him, and beat the shit out of him. It wasn't even that satisfying because the rogue on turn 1, who was sitting there with a bow like assassin hitting it, just dealt enough damage to straight up kill it. And everyone else just still beat the shit out of it, and we're like, alright, we're done. Great job. And the GM, he's just sitting there like, you defeated my encounter with rope. And we're like, so...
See, that's why veteran adventurers always carry at least 50 feet of rope.
Even better, I have a robe of useful items.
Oh.
And I have 4 mastiffs living in there, apparently. So... But yeah, we used random gen, and I got... I was a human, so I ended up with 20 strength at first level and 18 or 19 wisdom or something. And it's 20 with the advancement from for 5th level, so I think it's 4th level. And so, yeah, the way the jumping works is that if you have a 10-foot running start, you can jump a number of feet without a check equal to your strength score, not modifier. So I can just straight up lunge 20 feet after a 10-foot start, and with a little bit of a run up, I can just straight. This old man who's like 70 can just do a straight 7-foot jump in the air, and everyone else is just sitting there like, because he sits there like cracking his like body every now and then, like, oh, I'm not sure about this, and then he just fucking bounces off the wall, and it's like there's this rule that if you exceed your distance with a character's movement, you end your turn. So I did this thing where I ran, hopped with a dash action and just landed in the middle of the air, just like, all right, end of my turn. I'm just sitting up there like this, and I'm ready to suplex the thing next round. But yes, that is my old man. Oh, what the fuck is his name? Something like, is it? Yeah, I'll look it up in a sec. Well, where you guys go. But anyway, so yes, we will look forward to more of that story. I'm sure.
I don't know if 5e detects evil and good works quite that way.
It's called Detect Good Evil. I was looking through it. Trust me, we had a great discussion over the rules on it.
Yeah.
Detect Good and Evil 5e. But
Does desecration, but not like evil magic items.
No. We know that. The area was considered desecrated, and I was able to use detect magic on the items to figure out what they were, and then we knowledge arcane them. Well, arcane them. There's not knowledge anymore. But yeah, no, I get what you mean. Yeah. It's not evil magics, but it's desecration and stuff like that.
Fiends, undead.
Yep. Also, for some reason, Fae, Elementals, Celestials, anything.
Yes. It's very specific now.
Yep.
They totally got rid of the aura stuff. I've had to redo it.
So anyway, Savannah, what do you got?
So I'm in a 13th age game that meets up every other week. And here recently, our characters were playing in sort of an Arthurian England setting.
Yeah, you mentioned that, I think last time.
Yeah, and our characters dealt with this rival lord. We serve House McAshton and their House McLordrick. And we've been dealing with this rival lord, and he's been a real dick to everybody. And my character was hired by him, but he was still a dick. And so when we finally wrapped up what we had to deal with around him, we went to the next town. And my character is pretending to be a cleric of St. Madeline of the Forge, but she is actually a druid who follows the Candlejack, who's the trickster deity. I have a type, I understand. But point being, she thinks that the best way to honor her deity in this is to get everyone together and to make up a really outrageous rumor about Lord McLordrick. And so we end up getting together and deciding that there was an awkward training accident and that Lord McLordrick ended up bisecting a certain part of his anatomy, and it was so weird that even the prostitutes that he totally hires to follow his camp around, because his guys can't get ladies on their own, and also he's a terrible boss, so he has to offer fringe benefits. So yes, even the prostitutes that he hired would not go anywhere near it and went on strike. And so we rolled high enough and convinced / bribed the bards in the inn that we were in to take up singing this song. So
the great legend speaks of the bisected tree branch, split by lightning, but never touched.
Did you actually make a song, or did you just declare it was a song?
We declared that there was a song. There were several attempts at creating a song that night. I think everyone was a bit too sober for that. But yeah, ultimately my character invented clickbait, because she's, a traveling healer, so she's out there, blessing people and removing warts and shit. And she's like, oh yeah, by the way, I totally treated this guy named Lord McLordrick who, had this weird injury. I can't tell the story nearly as well as those bards, but you should go talk to them to find out.
The clerics hate them.
Yep.
Get rid of your genital warts in these 3 easy steps.
Pretty much.
Meet up with local lizard folk in your area tonight.
Do you guys see just a quick sidebar, do you guys see the Wizard of Australia?
No.
The Wizard of Australia, no.
Oh my god, it's... there is an official Wizard of New Zealand. So if there wasn't already enough reason for me to fucking go there, there's a fucking wizard. And then, I don't believe he does real magic or anything, but, there's a wizard.
It's an honorary title or something?
Yes, it is an honorary... He's the best. I'm so excited to meet him someday. And then, there's a really great YouTube series called Wizard of Id, or Wizard Australia, or something like that. Wizard
of
Aussie.
Oz?
Yeah, that might be that. Something like that. Something like that. And it's hilarious. It's about a wizard from like this D&D world who comes to like try to live in Melbourne, Australia, like a regular person, and his like arch nemesis, this crazy chaos sorcerer, destructo metal freak, also comes to live there, and just like ruins his life. It's great.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Sounds magical.
it is.
Indeed.
It is. But
So,
Kevin, tell us your story.
Yes, enchant us with your words.
All right. So
Fantastic,
currently playing a rogue in Pathfinder. We actually just finished up a 5th edition game that I was running, and I get to play. Yay! So yeah, I'm usually the GM.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So my niece is running it, and I started playing this rogue, and the game starts out with us in a line. Like, that's the first thing she says. She says, okay, so the 5 of you are in a line. We're like, okay, what's this line for?
No.
Right? Like, we're like, all right, what's this line for? And she's like, well, the king is actually hiring people, and he wants you to stand in this line until he's ready to let everybody in and tell them about what he wants to do. And I was like, all right, well, how far back in the line am I? And she's like, oh, you just got there. You're, like, right at the back. I'm like, okay. So I start bluffing my way up, and I make my way all the way up to the front. And I get up to the point where I meet one of the other characters, who's this barbarian half-orc, and her husband, who is also a half-orc, and the both of them are like, well, we're not going to let you buy us, and I was like, well, then just come with me. And so they come with me all the way up to the front of the line, and by the time that we get all the way up there to the other people who actually were there early in the morning, I'm just telling everybody else, I'm like, oh, they already closed it, it's okay, you're done for the day, And then so when the guy from the king actually comes out, he opens the gate, he looks around, he's like, where is everybody? I was like, I don't know, I guess they just didn't show up. And, and so it was just the 5 of us, and he's like, all right, well, I guess come in. And he has us come in, and we talk to the king. King's like, okay, well, I need you to go get this plant. There's this flower that grows in this village, and we need you to go and bring it back because we need to use it for my daughter's wedding. And she's getting married in like 3 weeks, so we need you to hurry up and go there and come back. We're like, all right, cool. So we head out, and unbeknownst to anybody, I'm actually in love with the princess. Like, this was part of my backstory that I set up before we started. And so, she and I had some relations, and the king, being unhappy about that, but unable to kill me because of it, because she wouldn't let him, he instead bribed me with a guild. So I had a 1-person guild all to myself, in exchange for keeping my mouth shut that I had been with the princess. And so with that in mind, my group goes to this town, and it turns out that all these people are doppelgangers. They've all been transformed, and we're not sure why, but they're all freakishly happy. Like, oh, how's it going? Everything good? Okie dokie. And we're like, all right, this is too weird for us. So we're gonna look around. So we start snooping around, and as soon as we do, everybody we find out is like hive mind. They can all see exactly what we're doing all at the same time. And so in order to escape, we end up in the inn, and I'm like, okay, well, I have from Pathfinder, one of the rogue talents allows you to learn lesser magic, and so I took that to be able to take darkness. And then there's another one that actually lets you be able to see in magical darkness. So I did that, I cast darkness, and then I had everybody grab onto my shoulder, and I just led them through this inn where all these people are stumbling around trying to find us. And we end up underneath it in this cave underground. And we find this bubbling spring of water where all these plants are growing. And we're like, hey, that's the flower we're looking for. So we pick it. As soon as we pick one flower, all the rest of them die. And we're like, well, that's weird. We still have this one, though, so we're okay. And we go to leave, and all of a sudden, out from this little side room, all these people start stumbling in. And it's all of the original people from the town, or most of them. And they're like, oh my god, we fell asleep because of the plants, and we need to be saved, and so you need to take us back up. So we bring them back up out of the thing into the village, and all of the doppelgangers have died, just like the plants did. So the plants themselves were somehow keeping them alive. So we bring the flower back to the prince, or to the king, and tell him what happened. And I'm like, you really shouldn't give this to your daughter. And he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. I just told you that because we didn't know if you were even going to survive the mission. So we actually wanted you to bring it back so we could so we can inspect it and find out what it was to make sure it wasn't going to make other people into doppelgangers. So he pays us for it and tells us, I'm going to make you guys my, what was it called? Something, it starts with a C, of protection squad. Basically, we were cops.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And so he's like, I'm going to send you on missions, and we need you to lead them. And I was like, well, but I need to stay here because the princess is getting married. And he's like, oh, absolutely not. We are not staying here. I'm sending you on this mission. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll go. So his next mission that he sent us to is this town where all these people are worshiping chickens. And it
Mike,
turns out...
you approve, I imagine.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and so it turns
Fucking
out...
chicken god, he that is both the chicken and the egg.
Yeah, right? Actually, it's funny that you say that because they kind of chanted that too. So basically what it was there was this great hero that had come to the town many years ago, and he fought off all of these orcs that attacked the town and everything. And before he could leave, he accidentally got turned into a chicken, but they didn't know which one he was. So instead of trying to find out which one he was and dispelling it, they just started worshiping all of the chickens. And,
How do I get in your niece's Pathfinder game?
right?
This sounds freaking amazing.
It's pretty legit.
Yeah, it is pretty good. So we have to figure out what we're doing. So we get there, and I'm like, all right, well, we need to go and make sure. The goal of that particular mission was we needed to go in and check this guy's house for like this item that the king was looking for. And we found out along the way that the guy actually had died in his house in his bed. But nobody would ever, like the mayor and stuff, wouldn't ever let anybody in there to find out about it. So he just let them keep worshiping chickens and paying money to the town to do it. And so we got out, we fixed that with him, and we went back to town. I'm just trying to be brief here so that I'm not taking up too much time.
It's all right.
And so that was that mission. So we get back just in time for the wedding. And before we left, I had snuck into the princess's quarters in the middle of the night and left a rose to let her know that I still knew what was going on and that I was still trying to find a way to be with her. Well, it turns out then that she actually called me to her room without anybody knowing. And I get there, and she's like, I'm running away, and you're going with me. And I was like, wait, what? And she's like, I'm running away, and you're going with me. I'm like, you're going to get me killed. And she's like, no, it's fine. We're just going to go, and we're going to disappear. I was like, I really, let's think about this. And she's like, I could just kill the guards outside. I was like, no, that's fine. I'll go with you.
She's blackmailing you into eloping with us.
Yes. And so she brings me, she takes me out of the castle, and I convince her that we need to hang low. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this my way. We're gonna do it right. So I bring her back to my base of operations where my guild is technically at, and I'm sitting there with her trying to talk some sense into her over the next couple of days, while the rest of the group is told by the king that they have to come after me because I kidnapped her. And so they have no idea, because I was just kind of sitting there that night, just hanging out for a little bit, watching them play. And they were like, what the hell did Ed do? And so they finally find me in my building, and they get in there, and they're like, what did you do? Why'd you kidnap her? I was like, I've been trying to get her to go home. And so we think about it, and we talk to my wife, actually, is playing the coolest character. Her name is Frida, and she is an old sea elf. She's been alive for like 200 plus years. But she has an illusion that she casts on herself every morning that allows her to look young. So she just looks like this really young, beautiful sea elf, except that she talks like this every time. So you totally, yeah. And like, it's hilarious. But it turns out that she's actually like the head of this big like bakery group that goes across the entire continent. And she has like all the money she could ever need. She just never uses any of it because she's old and she just wants to live with her little dead ferret that's her animal companion. She's a witch, by the way, and her ferret is like a little construct thing, but it's totally dead. Like anybody that she holds it up to, she's like, you want to see Wendell? And it's just this dead ferret hanging in her hand, and we're like, hi, Wendell. Yeah. So she tells us, she's like, I have an idea. And we're like, what's that? She's like, well, you two want to get married. Why don't we marry the guy that the princess wants to get married, or the princess is supposed to get married to? He can marry my niece. And we're like, well, I don't even know if that'll work. She's not royalty. And she's like, sure she is. I'm a duchess. She could be that. And she's like, and I can make you a duke. And I was like, oh my god, that means I would have titles. I would actually be nobility. And like we worked it all out over the course of the rest of that session. That Frida actually, because she's royalty with the Sea Elves, it turns out, we had no idea. She made me a duke, so I was an honorary duke with the Sea Elves, which meant that I could marry the princess. And so then her niece, who she kept telling us, don't worry about it. She's not as pretty as most of the Sea Elves, but I still. And we go, and the only reason she said that is because her niece is actually orange instead of blue-green. And she's like just the prettiest orange elf you could ever. Yeah. And so we bring her back, and this guy that's supposed to marry the princess is like, yeah, no, I'm okay with that. I'll totally marry her. And so we end up doing a double wedding.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah, right? And the king's fuming the whole time because he can't do anything now. Like, he's like, oh god, you really are going to marry my daughter. And so we get married, and then we have a couple more missions that we've done. I don't know how much more time I should take up, but
how old is your niece?
I'm sorry?
How old is your niece?
Oh, she's 17. She'll be 18 in December.
All right. Still, that's really
I think
impressive.
we need to wrap up this section relatively soon.
Yeah, that's fine. So just to a quick summary, the most recent one that we finished, the mission, was we had this party of Fae across the Eastern Sea that we had to sail across to meet up with, because they were having parties that were killing people, and it turns out that they didn't realize that the people that were coming to their parties were getting so drunk that they died afterwards, because they're just having fun. They're Fae. They can drink all they want, have no problem. And so we had to work that out with. But that was the most recent one that we finished. So yeah.
That's
but
awesome.
no, she's 18, and she started playing probably about 3.5, 4 years ago, actually. So
cool.
It's great to have another DM in the family.
All right. Well, now we're going to talk about our favorite working projects. So stuff that we are ourselves working on.
So who wants to take the first part of this one?
I'll go.
I'll take it.
Oh, no, go Savannah. You do it.
All right. So I have been brainstorming for Bloodlines and Black Magic. And so I am currently taking over the Fae stuff right now. And I'm wanting to... Well, Jay already called dibs on like the closest thing to a devil bloodline, so
Yeah.
But I was trying to think of the whole point is like, oh man, this kid gets kidnapped to the Fae realms, and you have to go get him back. And I'm trying to decide who they're going to get him back from. So we have the boogeyman, who is definitely a Fae Lord. And I'm trying to think of a secondary Fae Lord. And so I decided that I was going to base this Fae Lord off of my fish. I don't know if anyone can actually see him from their vantage on the camera, but I have a beta fish over here. And nothing sums up Fae Lord like incredibly pretty asshole. Which is also how you describe beta fishes. So yeah, I was actually going to the pet store, and I'm actually modeling my beta's tank after like the ethereal thing. He has ghost shrimp as his retinue. He's going to have lantern eyes as like his little servants and stuff, and I'm going to like base the whole theme off of this Fae being fish themed, because I did not take up being a game designer to not make my fish a character.
So is that a module that you're doing, or is it like an actual supplement?
Bloodlines and Black Magic is filled with these sort of like episodic adventures. It's sort of an urban fantasy. Reminds me a bit of Old World Hunter. Okay. And so they deal with kind of like these urban legend things. First season of Supernatural stuff. And the players are generally all connected to like a specific magical bloodline, and depending that can interact with stuff.
Cool.
So yeah. His name's Hadrian. I've decided that he is a Fae who used to live in the area of Britain where Hadrian's Wall was built. Okay. And he was very grumpy because Hadrian's Wall was never meant to keep anything out. It's just meant to disrupt like traffic and like tax people for going through your bridge or through your wall. So I figured that this Fey Lord once upon a time was really, really pissed that, like, you know, this wall had messed up his ley lines or something. He's like, so I stole the best thing I could. I stole his name.
Is your
So, yeah.
fish behind your tank, kind of? I keep seeing it's some yellow thing behind it.
He's blue. The bird's yellow.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
you're
I'm
probably
saying the
seeing the
bird. I keep seeing your bird behind your tank, I think.
That
How
is
many
probably.
other exotic animals do you have hanging out there?
It's just me and Pelly and the fish and three
The
ghost shrimp.
Chihuahua and the porcupine and
You know, the Sholo Exqueetly dog and all that good jazz. I want more betas, but betas are such assholes.
Yep.
Like, you can't even put a lady beta in with a dude beta because they'll fight.
of course.
Everyone will fight, yeah. You put them next to each other, they stress each other out until they die. That's good.
Ugh. Yeah. It's exciting. So it's
So,
just me and my
Mike-
prince fish.
I heard you're punching Nazis or something, or has something to do with that?
Smashing the Nazis.
There is a
Yes.
difference.
I saw some Twitter thing after the Charlottesville stuff that was like, hey, if you ever like, what would I do during the Civil Rights Movement or the Holocaust? Like, this is what you're doing now. That's what you do. So I made Operation Nazi Smasher, which was a World War II era module set in the Hypercore 2099 universe. And all the proceeds from it go to charity. We're thinking SPLC, and then I don't know where else. That's somebody else's problem. But all the stuff that you all, including Scott, are supposed to write needs to be turned in tonight, and then if not, I'm going to write the rest of it. And I've already written, I don't know, like half of it.
I'm
I made all the
writing
math.
wonderful Nazi propaganda for that.
Yes,
So that's
you
the
are the
reason I wanted to do
propaganda.
that, so I can put together like really pulpy, terrible like Nazi propaganda.
Yeah, there's a brainwashing room where they like do a Clockwork Orange kind of thing,
Yep.
you know, and then they have a bunch of sedated guys, and then there's another brainwashing room where they surgically implant stuff. So those
That's
are there.
exciting.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool. Like, so it starts. They you like airdrop out of a plane onto this outpost that you have to take out quickly in order for like the infantry reinforcements behind you, so they're not detected and they can approach the castle. And then you actually storm the castle, and you have like 2 minutes to get to the communications room before they can confirm and get the artillery to like reposition and fire on the castle. Because like the lady running it is just like, oh, just bomb the shit out of everything up top. Anyone who's not under the underground, it doesn't matter enough to live anyway. So, and after that, like they have to clear the rooms. The infantry comes in and gets everybody that's straggling. Then they get down into the first level, and they are met by like this crazy fucking cannon down a 200-foot hallway that they have to get. And then there's a bunch of like rooms with occult research and dead bodies and an undead factory. There's a factory for making Nazi zombies and Nazi skeletons. And then down another level, there is a factory for making worse shit, and her offices, and then the actual like big bad evil thing of the module. Yeah,
Very cool.
cool.
Looking forward to it.
Order the Emperor Die is doing a playthrough of it, which I'm super fucking
Woo.
excited about. John Wick
Yes.
might write the forward. I gotta follow up on an email with him, and then Claudio Poses is doing the cover, and yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah. The people who jumped up is it's like yeah, I'm very excited about it, obviously. But yeah, after this around midnight, whatever's not done, I'm just gonna start piling through it, get it to playtesters. Should be out for folks to buy and support good causes, good anti-hatred causes, around the middle of October.
Cool. Sadly, I won't be able to take part in the Order of the Emperor Dies Nazi smashing because I have responsibilities at Geek Girl Con here in Seattle, but I do hope that they smash extra Nazis with me in mind.
Yeah.
Should be pretty dope. We're making pawns, so they have the pre-gens will have like little pawns that they can use if they're playing.
Ah, that's exciting. Are you going to do, I feel like you should do something Starfinder flavored with Nazis on the moon next time.
Maybe.
Nazis in space.
I also started a project like after Gen Con because I was like, I really want to write a escape from the Hypermax prison scenario. So like I got through to some of the maps and all the outline and stuff for I think we're just gonna call it Escape Cleveland 2099.
I love it.
And that one will be Starfinder compatible, and we need to update the hyperscore system. That should be pretty simple.
I like it.
So, I have something on my plate I'm working on. If you guys don't know, we just released Alien Party Bus, which is just... yeah, if you guys liked our Gonzo stuff, you're going to love this. It's very much a, like...
I had a question about this, because when you were talking about it, I got the impression it was going to be like way more than 20 pages. So did you decide to cut down at some point, or what?
Yeah, we actually had 3 submissions we had to cut because it didn't make it. Originally it was each... Well, remember, in Starfinder, race entries are like 2 pages. They're like, there's the stat page, and then there's the fluff page, and then there's the then they're done. So we actually went to 3 on a few of them, but most of them are 2. And we included, I think, like 4 or 5 races, 6 races.
Okay.
But we cut down a few out of them because one of our developers didn't finish up what he had to do. So we were like...
Save it for next time.
Yeah, we do have a bunch more we want to write. We have like 200 plus pages of art or pieces of artwork we can write. We just wanted to see how Starfinder, the reaction would be. And guys, Starfinder, put out a Starfinder product. Your bank account will thank you. If nothing else. That's why I'm working on that. But anyway, the thing I'm working on now is alternate path prestige. I love prestige classes. I'm like a giddy kid in a school, like a candy store with prestige classes. They should be flavorful and fun, and they can give me the weird stuff where you find an adventure like the Ancient Order of the Jedi or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you can enter like that group and like just have that weird thing you do. I think I fell in love with it when I played the Knight of the Raven. I know it sounds really weird, but I loved it in Castle Ravenloft. But they never really came to fruition in Pathfinder because it kind of got swallowed up by a lot of other mechanics.
Right.
Yeah.
And they kind of end up gimping you. What was that?
Archetypes in particular.
Archetypes and hybrids and everything else kind of swallowed up a lot.
And the fact that multi-classing is less punished in Pathfinder than 3.5 helps, I think.
By the way, it gets punished in Starfinder. We'll talk about that at some point, I'm sure, but yeah. But yeah, anyway, so we're kind of reinvigorating prestige classes. They should be like all the requirements in them are all mostly role-playing requirements. And they're all very flavorful. A lot of them are only 5 levels. But we work on something called groundworks, which are these things which you can take as feats technically, but it's like count your levels in one prestige class as levels in this for this purpose. So if you want to continue your like BAB progression from your fighter, guess what? You can, even though you're a spellcaster now. Or continue your sneak attack progression or whatever. And you get 1 or 2 of them as you level up. And a lot of the prestige class stuff works on character level and has a variable ability score stuff. So it's like use it. Basically, it's like pick your favorite physical score. Use that. You know, mostly it's that with a mental score. But it's like, hey, we're not going to hose you because you decided to have wisdom and this requires intelligence. It straight up just says go play with it. We also have a weird class that's meant to be taken as a like pre your main class one, if that makes any sense. Like normally you take a few levels in something, then a prestige. If this is take levels in this, then your base class, because it counts as levels in those classes for class features. It's called the Dragon Scout. You're totally not a Boy Scout. You don't get merit badges. But it's totally like it allows you to enter any prestige classes, kind of the idea with it. It's like, meet your requirements. Here you go. And it talks about new ways of addressing, like, here's how you would address a existing requirement, but you want to circumvent it. Here's a reasonable way of doing that. We talk about some like Gestalt rules. We talk about new ways for character advancement to go through with prestiges. We talk about some other really weird class-related stuff. We kind of like that idea. We're kind of taking a new direction. It's our next Alt Path book. We're coming out with Alt Path Fight Smarter, which is Alt Path Martial 2 Fight Smarter this weekend, I think. It's all done except for one thing, but otherwise, yeah, Alt Path Prestige. We were working on it last week. Got some really cool things in there. I'm really happy to see how it goes. There's a class that you end up with 100 functional limbs at one point. But it works. We actually play tested it and we're like, oh shit, it works.
Nice. Because
of these things called prestige abilities. You know, like you normally like, hey look, I took this 5-level prestige class. Well, now I don't get my capstone, you know. There are things called prestige abilities that trigger as long as you are, this level has a requirement of both that level prestige and that level character level. So the prestiges are like, hey, and it doesn't matter if you're still the class. It's like at 20th level you get this capstone.
Yeah.
20th character level you get this capstone, not 20th prestige level. You have to be at least 10th or all 5 levels, and you get the 10th level here. It's like, okay, cool. You don't get it till way later on, which is kind of fun. So it kind of takes the sting out of losing all your abilities. They have some oomph to them. They're a little strong, so maybe toning them down a little bit. But God, someone was pointing out that you could have a God hand, that thing that gets the giant death arm with it. They have this ability that makes all their limbs that giant death arm. And you could do that with 100.
Maybe too many giant death arms.
And we're just like, you're a 20th level character, dude. At that point, go fucking nuts. Shiva the world, man. Just get all the arms of the destroyer and just kill everything. I'm down with it. It'll be great. But yeah, that's make sure we weren't stopping recording there. That's what we got in the works. I'm pretty pumped about that. I'm working on my hard sci-fi stuff for Starfinder. That's gonna be freaking awesome. Yeah, that's pretty much where we are right now. Kevin, what do you got in the chamber here?
Currently I am working on, we're trying to finish laying out our Player's Advantage fighter for Samurai Sheepdog.
Mm-hmm.
The Player's Advantage line is something that Hal Greenberg and Charles Clemens started back when they were still Mystic Eye Games. And so far we've got the Rogue, the Monk, and the Barbarian for various different editions, whether it be 3rd edition or 5th edition. And the fighter is finally going to be Pathfinder compatible, which cool. I plan to eventually put each of them as that. Fighter is going to be great. Charles has a lot of really cool stuff that he's putting together in it. We've got fighter variants that take other concepts from different classes. There's one fighter that just takes monk unarmed damage instead of his weapon bonuses and his defense bonuses and stuff. And he just beats people to death in his armor. And there you go.
And how does that compare to the brawler kind of that type of stuff?
So it doesn't actually lose the armor. Okay. You keep all the regular fighter stuff, and it's basically an archetype that takes out weapon bonuses and armor bonuses, the ones that you get at 5th level, 3rd level, and stuff. And those trade out for unarmed damage, and then there's a couple of other abilities that I'm forgetting right now. But I know that when we were playtesting them, they work out. It's actually pretty fun. You're basically just a guy walking around in armor beating people to death. And then there's a mariner, so he has a giant harpoon that he fights people with and stuff. There's a bunch of others that are really good. Working on that, almost done with it. And I am working on my September update for the Book of Many Things. Currently, so the Book of Many Things, just as a quick summary, is a book that I started putting together in July, and I have published it now for Samurai Sheepdog for Pathfinder. And what it is it's a compilation of requests from people around the internet. So I went to many different websites, including Facebook, and basically said, hey, is there something in Pathfinder that you've always wanted that you didn't get or haven't seen yet? And give me a chance to put it together. We'll look it over, and if you like it, we'll put it in this book. And so I got, so far I'm at 85 pages and climbing with this new update. But there's things in there we have a speedster like the Flash, and there's a class that we call the Heir Apparent, and basically normally your adventures that you have, adventurers start out as these murder hobos. They don't really have anything, they don't really have any money, they just kind of go around, they do good deeds to try to save people. This guy has money. He's just adventuring because adventuring sounds fun. Mm-hmm. And so one of his archetypes is basically, it's called the Orphan Hero, and it's essentially Batman. Mm-hmm. Somebody wanted that. It takes the same concept of you get all this money that you're working with over the course of your 20 levels, but you're an orphan. Your parents died in some horrible tragedy, so now you're being a hero because you want to honor them. And he also has another archetype called the Intrepid Sidekick that is basically you get all of your stuff that the heir would usually pay for with his money is actually given to you by your mentor, who is a full-class person that is actually teaching you how to fight. So a lot of your abilities are hand-me-down abilities and stuff. You get sneak attack, but you only get sneak attack in certain circumstances and stuff like that. but yeah, the book also includes a bunch of races, feats, things of that nature that people have asked for. And the September update so far is going really well. Somebody asked for, we wanted to do a class that was basically Mega Man. And I was like, all right, well, how would this work? So what I did was I put it together. It's called the Battle Augur. And the way Battle Augur works is he gets an ability at first level that when he observes somebody using some supernatural spell-like or extraordinary ability, he basically can learn that ability that he then casts as a spell. So he uses his spell slots in order to mimic these abilities. Like if he watches a dragon tail sweep something, then later on he can use one of his spell slots in order to also tail sweep it. And he basically summons this giant floating tail. But yeah, and so it's balanced around the fact that he uses his spells in order to mimic these abilities. And so then once he's out of spells, he runs out of everything. He just basically then he gets a couple of things like studied strike and stuff like that helps to build the flavor of the class, being somebody who observes combat and takes it to their advantage.
Cool.
Yeah.
And by the way, Twitch is still down today. That's not good. So following that section, we got the favorite project that's not yours. And yes, I will do this so Mike can timestamp
Yes.
that pretty good. So I'm gonna let you guys know right now, I got nothing today that I'm like must talk about. And Savannah, you got anything today?
Not today. Nothing that isn't a Kickstarter.
Let's say, yeah, guys, one of the things is we like to save these spots for things that we're like, oh my god, have you seen, you know, but Mike, you generally got something for this?
I always do, because there's always something that you should see. This case, it is Systems Malfunction, which I believe they are just now finishing the prints for, so it should be available by the time that this goes on YouTube. It's from In Transmission Games, and they have this thing called the Singularity System, which is like super. I wouldn't do it justice. I like to think of it as really simple Shadowrun without massive dice pools. Yeah, it's handy, and it's for space adventure stuff, and they've had it out for a while, and so Systems Malfunction is their like campaign setting kind of deal for it. And the layout that Michaela does is awesome. They did this book called Psionics, and she fucking color coded it, guys. She color coded it, and it didn't look tacky or bad.
Nice.
I know.
That's
It's so hard to do. And I was like, so would this take you like 2 months? And she's like, yeah, it's about 2 months.
Pretty much.
Because, in Systems Malfunction is similarly wonderfully laid out. And Devin writes some cool stuff. So check out In Transmission Games and Systems Malfunction. Woo! Yep. And now we will talk about Pathfinder and Starfinder news and speculation.
Kevin, you got anything for that you want to talk about?
If you don't mind, I wanted to jump in. I just thought of one. I didn't have one at first, but then I was thinking about it.
Oh, you got one? Okay.
Yeah, while we were at Gen Con this year, we did an escape room. And in the escape room building was this gentleman with a game that he had created. And the game is called The Contender. And apparently this game, yes, The Contender. And it's actually a card game in the same vein of Cards Against Humanity or Apples to Apples. What you're playing is basically you have your group of people, and one person is the questioner, and they ask this political question of you, and everybody else is the presidential candidate who's trying to basically go on debate about what they're going to do. And so they debate. Basically, you ask them the question like, there's job inequality, women's rights aren't being represented. How are you going to fix that? And you have a hand of 5 cards that you pick one out of, anywhere from 1 to 3 cards. And you basically read the card. You can read there's red text up at the top that basically gives you shorthand for what it says. And that's all you get to say. You don't get to really say anything else. But they have funny cards in there, like one of them is like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. You just basically lay these cards down in a circle around trying to debate each other on who has the better option for this political question.
Okay.
Yeah, so what's really cool about it is, so my 10-year-old actually got really into this game. We brought it home, and we opened it up, we started playing, we're going around the table, and we're laying down and asking these questions. And he's like, well, this card says I'm Batman. And we looked, and each of the cards has an attribute at the bottom of it that tells you exactly what the quote came from a real-life political candidate. For example, that card actually was a quote from Donald Trump during his presidential campaign, where he came out and said, "I'm Batman."
That's beautiful.
Yep. And so they have historical cards from like Andrew Jackson and Thomas Jefferson, all these guys that have ever been president and stuff. They have some of them that are not safe for work.
Say, some of the presidents said some nasty shit about each other.
Yep.
Mudslinging is not new. I promise you that.
Well, one of the better ones was Andrew Jackson had a quote, and he basically said the quote itself was something about pulling the man's anterior from his posterior. And the card in red that you actually read whenever you were debating was pull your head out of your ass. But so it's a really fun game. And anybody who wants to check it out, it's called The Contender, and it was on Kickstarter a few months back. Apparently, they funded well because he's there at Gen Con and promoting the game. We bought a copy of it.
It is at thecontender.us.
There you go.
Yeah, that is an excellent suggestion. Thank you, Kevin. That is do like him, guys. All right.
I see how it is.
Always with you. So now
how else would you know I was here, Mike?
Now we're doing Pathfinder and Starfinder. You know, we're going to talk about this later, but I actually brought you up at one of the things at Gen Con. Pathfinder, Starfinder news and speculation. So I've only gotten to read up until like the very beginning of themes. Like Ace Pilot, I think, is where I had to stop because my world blew up. But they sold out at Gen Con on Thursday afternoon, and they brought like more of that book than they'd ever brought of any book. It was like, what, 4 o'clock in the afternoon by the time?
Yeah, it literally sold out in like the first like 4 or 5 hours at both locations. They even hid one off to the side, like outside the main hall, so people would have to split to go to them. And they sold it in both like day freaking 1, wasn't it? Something like that. I had a friend there who was texting me. He's like, "I'm in line. I got it." I'm like, "I got the subscription PDF. I'm sitting here reading it."
Yeah, right. I got mine in the mail the day before.
But yeah, I got to read a bunch of it. I'm most of the way through. I've read all the important sections. I haven't read through like all the gear and like some of the Starship stuff I read through. But yeah, we'll go over that in detail when Mike and Savannah have kind of both read through it. But
Owen put together a really awesome quick reference sheet for the difference between Pathfinder and Starfinder, and it's just 1 page. It is on the Paizo blog. It's called the Starfinder cheat sheet. And I'm sure that there's way more intricacies, and I look forward to finding them. But like this was, as soon as I read it, I was like, oh, okay, all right. I could pretty much sit down and like play a character in this. So
more or less,
I like that
it sums it up pretty well.
Yeah,
ships are an entirely different animal and are not reflected on there. So
I'm looking forward to reading the ships.
I'm waiting to get to that part myself.
So building them is like a freaking college course. Not really. It's not that bad. If you're a designer, you know how to do it. But like a layman reading it, it's just like. And they start with that, but if you just kind of like skip past that to if you like get the definitions of the terms and then jump to the like, here are the examples, it makes a lot more sense. But like running them, there's a lot to keep in like working memory, but you have like 5 players at a table keeping it in working memory, so it's not that bad, but it's still kind of a weird kind of. One hand wasn't talking to the other. For example, like
no, see, I'm thinking that some of that was a little bit intentional because they want you to like being in the ship, but they don't want you to focus on the ship too much.
Well, no. Here's what I mean. Here's like a design paradigm thing. For example, player characters, they removed the stat or the ability score bonuses and penalties from size categories, and the ship, it's a major component. And there's just weird stuff like that where it's like. One hand not talking to this hand, really. They're not speaking terms. And there's a bunch of those little like incongruities that I'm like, that maybe wasn't the best thing, but overall I really enjoy it.
Oh, no, I gotta read it. What the fuck am I gonna read it?
I know, right? I'll be reading it. Finishing up Nazi Smasher stuff tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll go over that a bit more in a week or so whenever Mike and Savannah get a chance to read it. Mike, do we want to talk about 5e at all?
Well, there was some news in 5e.
Okay, go for it. Oh, here.
Yes, 5e news and speculation. So Frank Mentor announced before Gen Con that he has a note from Gary Gygax that gives him publishing rights to Imperia, which is on the continent of Aquaria, which is on the same planet as Earth, which is the same planet, like with a U, same planet as Greyhawk.
Cool.
And the internet exploded pretty good. His timing was pretty sharp.
I'm sure he delayed that for a second.
He did. I got to talk to him a little bit at Gen Con, and he said that he was timing it for all like the European people because the Red Box was the first thing that got translated out of English. So for most people who got to D&D that weren't here in America or Britain, like that was their introduction to D&D.
Mm. So
he's got a lot of international fans, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah. So there should be a
So,
Kickstarter for that coming along sometime before 2018, I think.
So just not really news, but kind of an interesting note. So Mike, you know how we've looked over the Unearthed Arcana a few times and kind of been like, ooh, why? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my friend Coleman he's a new GM. He's been playing for a bit, kind of like your niece, like first time GMing. And he was in his notes to us. He was like, yeah, you can use anything from Unearthed Arcana. I'm like, no, wait. Put an asterisk on that with approval because no, please, God, don't. I'm like, I've been reading that. Please don't do that.
I'll be putting a Steam Forged.
But it's not that bad. Like, use your better discretion. It's still playtest material, so.
Yeah, I'm playing a Shadow Sorcerer. That's from Unearthed Arcana. Honestly, it doesn't even come out that much.
Yeah. So anyway, other RPG news?
Well, you have this stuff about Reaper. Oh yeah, other RPG news.
Yeah.
Reaper miniature operations.
Yeah.
Director
So there was a big kerfluffle about a week back or so. I love that word kerfluffle. Where one of the what was his position? He was the operations director of Reaper Miniatures. Started going on like a pro-Nazi rant, kind of like not a pro-Nazi rant, but you know that one that kind of like that language that really walks that line, kind of like. And he did not do himself any favors. People like to screenshot it and put it on like Imager and stuff, and they were just like, "Really, guys? Are you going to support this?" And parts of the community just exploded.
Yo.
It was freaking nuts, and. I will read the update from the CEO of Reaper Miniatures. Originally, they just said we're investigating, and then they put out something on their Facebook that says, "So I feel like saying that I have to give you guys the full story." I'm going to read it on my other screen, so please pardon my not looking at the camera here. Has come to our attention that one of our employees became involved in a series of controversial posts on social media. We are deeply embarrassed that our company name, has been associated with these statements. Reaper's culture values diversity and equality, and we do not support, condone, or agree in any way with the views of the employee expressed in that discussion. We are reviewing the matter and taking the appropriate actions. Best wishes, Ed Purge? Is it Purge?
Pew, I think.
Anyway, so they kind of were like, that doesn't represent us. We're looking into it. As of my last look into it, like that was a week ago to be fair, a day or two afterwards, he hadn't been like fired or anything. I'm sure there was.
I was wondering what appropriate action was going to be.
Normally that's firing.
Well, so
normally yes, but
from an MBA perspective, you have to look at your liabilities to go, did he violate anything? Because if he violated, like if they have a social media contract or whatever saying don't be a dick on social media.
You think they'd have some kind of cultural and diversity?
If he has that and they can fire him over that, that's fine. Otherwise, it's a big lawsuit because discrimination based on political view. So they may not be. It may be one of those things where it's like, we can't fire you over this, but you're now the fucking janitor, or you know what I mean, like, or like any excuse we can have to fire you, we will take it. You know, like.
Yeah.
So they may not legally be able to do anything about it, but they sure as hell don't have to embrace him. And he even said. The guy said in some of his posts, he's like, look, don't associate with this brand. It's just where I work. And I'm like, kind of impossible to separate those two, especially when you're like...
Well, and I feel like he referenced that directly. Like, yeah, you may not like me, but I am totally designing these miniatures. It's like, throw that out there, pal. That'll be great kindling.
And by the way, it was right after like Charlottesville and all that stuff, and it was just like
Bad timing.
it's like in the middle of one of their Kickstarters, and it's like, oh come on, dude! And their Kickstarter literally went like this and dropped for a bit.
Yeah.
I think they're doing okay now. I haven't checked on them, but yeah, it was a bit of a kerfluffle. The other one, this is just kind of a weird community thing.
Yeah, that was weird.
Another thing is, like I said, another weird community thing was, so in one of the Pathfinder groups, I think it was like Pathfinder RPG or one of those Facebook groups.
It was just Starfinder. I think it was
What?
just a Starfinder group.
Was it? I don't remember
believe
which
so.
one it was, but anyway, Owen posts up his big book that's #1 on the Starfinder Companion or whatever.
Starfarer's Companion.
Starfarers, because they can't use Finder on the cover.
It covers a lot of the stuff that they didn't convert over
Yeah.
in the Starfinder book. So
It's-
if you want to play
it's-
Paladin or a Magus or whatever.
Yeah.
Not the druid.
Not the Druid, not the Monk, which was a disappointment for me.
But anyway, from what I hear, it's a good book. I haven't read
Oh, it
anything.
is. Wonderful.
So
Quite big,
anyway,
too.
he put out the book, and this guy was like, $20 for a book. I won't pay for that. If I want it, I'll steal it, or I'll go
Which
download
is
it.
a really ballsy thing to say to the person who
Yeah,
published it.
and
Yeah.
and everyone in the thread's like, "Are you serious here?" And like, if the guy was like, "Look, I'm sorry, I'm just being dumb. Don't worry about it," or removed his post or something. No, the guy vigorously defended and trolled everyone in that thread for like a good 2 days, and then the admin just banned him. But he was also taking he also went to like every other thread he could find, like one of it was David Silver's Pony Finder. He posted up something, and he's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe people." He just goes on this rant against him. I'm like, dude, and I actually posted, I'm like, dude, not my cup of tea, but you know what?
Yeah,
Here's
people
great
like
things
it.
about this.
Whatever.
We're all
Yeah.
nerds here.
Let's say,
Like,
There's definitely really cool stuff in there.
yeah, I'm gonna
Like,
say it's not my thing, but you know what? I know people who freaking love it, and I've seen good
Yeah.
reviews about it. People on the show have even come over and said it's good. And you know what? I do weird things too that people may not be down with. You know, I go to live action
Not
games.
you.
Yeah, everyone has weird things they do, man. And you know what? It's not so weird. No one's average.
making a Nazi smashing module, a prison break module, and also a book that starts off with you killing 2 teenagers that you abduct from high school.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know what you want, you know?
I want more of that.
the poor golden twins.
You're the 4 golden twins.
So that's all I can
I
think
mean,
of
to be
really.
fair, they're teenagers, so.
Yeah, they were legally
Everybody
defined
was like,
as
don't kill
teenagers.
children. And it's like, oh, teenagers, yeah, whatever. Nobody has a problem with killing kids.
Yeah. It was much better than the alternative.
So does that kind of wrap
Not
up our
evil
community
enough.
stuff there?
Now would be the time to talk about Gen Con, I would think, which was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Go for it, man.
Yeah, sorry you didn't get to go, Scott.
I didn't get to go this year. I also missed out on a trip. I'm missing out this weekend on. Man, I'm starting a new job. It kills me that I can't do like all these things I want to do. But so Mike, Savannah, you go?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So both of you guys, what was awesome? What did we miss? Come on. And Kevin, you went too, right?
Yes, sir.
God, so I'm the only one who's out of loop here. All right, go for it,
Warriors
guys.
There was a Bob Ross guy rolling around with some, like, the Art of Chill game, I think it was called.
Yeah, it was on my hotel's key cards. Was come chill with us at booth blah blah blah.
I'm surprised he got away with that, because, like, they specifically are like, you're not allowed to handbill, but I guess he wasn't handbilling, he was just walking around being funny and engaging
Right.
people, and so that's, I mean, I don't know. I'm glad he got away with it, that's cool. Yeah. It would suck if everybody was handbilling, but, like, if you're gonna go and, like, make a costume and stuff, like I did, I got away with handbilling for a little bit, then they were all like, wait a minute. I was like, aha, serious, I work for a corporation. Yeah.
You helped
Like,
me.
no. No more of that. I was like, But if everybody was handing out flyers, it would suck. It would suck.
Like Vegas, man, with all them like card flapping girls,
Yeah.
street walkers.
It was super crowded in the dealer's room. Normally, I get through that thing like a fucking salmon in a stream, but no fucking way, it sucked.
There were so many traffic jams.
It's ridiculous.
Are you
It was
guys-
definitely awesome. I was in a fantastic Call of Cthulhu game. The character I played in which I will discuss next week because he was fantastic. And of course, devastatingly attractive.
Always.
Dumb as a box of rocks, but devastatingly attractive. Let's see. The dealer hall was really awesome, but I feel like there were also a lot more repeats than I remember last year. Like Chessex had 3 booths, and several other places had like 3 booths.
Yeah, a lot of stuff with the Paizo. Paizo shared their like big booth with like 3 people, right?
Yeah,
They did?
and
Three
Paizo also had a secondary store set up in the Sagamore, which was interesting.
Well, they announced
so
that
I didn't-
beforehand.
What's that?
Sorry, they announced that beforehand a few times, like all over their Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing this over here, so I think they just didn't want to have like everyone like in a 4-hour line at their booth, so instead they just be in 2-2-hour lines, you know?
Everybody's
Right. Well, and
favorite
also
line
it
around-
keeps people in the Sagamore.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think they got a Guinness person this year. I wish they would have, like, the world record people, because, like, I'm sure they would have broken the world record.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Let me see.
I didn't get to actually experience as much of the con as I would have liked due to my kidneys. Oh gosh, what were their names? Bernard and Moriarty.
Are they still there? Or?
Oh, they're definitely still there. I don't have a urology appointment until Thanksgiving.
Holy moly.
We also
Oh,
need
yeah.
to be thankful for.
Oh, I'll
That
bring
was
them to
dark.
Thanksgiving dinner. It'll be great.
It's gonna be like, we can't do anything about this. It's been too long.
Yeah, you watch. I'm going to my PCP at the end of the week. Hopefully they can bump me up. But I've been talking nonstop about my kidneys for like 5 months. So take it away, Mike. Kevin.
All
right. Yeah, so this year at the con we always try to do something different. This year we did crafts. And so we got to make things like dice towers. I made a TARDIS dice tower. That was fun. And then we made like little tiny books. Like we actually cut the paper and like made them with leather and bound them and stuff. And then we made parchment rolls that we did, like pirate leather stuff. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. It was really fun. We did some, what's it called? Resin. We did resin jewelry with this Crafty Chica is her name. She's on Facebook. And she was really cool. She was like my favorite one the whole time that we were there. And the resin jewelry was awesome. It came out like we had a bunch of stuff like Edgar Allan Poe, like ravens, skulls, and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
So crafting was a lot of fun this year. It's not usually something I do. I can write, I can lay out, but crafting and drawing just isn't my thing. But we did it, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, I didn't know I was going to go until like a month beforehand. So
last year I didn't know I was going to go till like a week beforehand. That was good.
Yeah.
And we did
Well,
something back and forth.
I was working for people, so I was boothing a lot of the time. I did go to the Women in RPG seminar, and I asked them about like how to, because like when we do design meetings, a lot of times, like it's ridiculous because I'm trying to be cool about it, and I know other Mike is Canadian, so he's always cool about fucking everything, and then Luis is the one who's always on top of the ethnic stuff. So like we try not to be chauvinist, but like definitely talk over Savannah, and it pisses me off, and yeah. I don't know. That's why I was saying I talked about you earlier, because like I was like, "Hey guys, how can I get around this? Because it's killing me." And they gave me some tips, so I got to talk to them and basically just like remind them before we do the meetings is the best thing I can do.
On that topic, you know what really kills me?
Mm.
We have this good designer. Her name is Kayla. Kayla, if you ever watched us, I'm like, Kayla, come work, keep making stuff for us. She doesn't show up to any of the meetings and doesn't like communicate, and she'll disappear for like a month or 2 at a time. But when she's on, she's awesome and she's amazing. But then she disappears, and I'm like, Kayla, come back. We want your wonderfulness. And I'm like, what can we do to bring her back? We want more women writers in this industry. We want more non-binary. We want more not old white dudes writing in this industry. Come on, guys. Come on. Help us out here. I'm trying to throw money at
Of
people.
old white dudes getting jobs in this industry, I wrote down the wrong fucking time for the Ulysses Spiel seminar, and I showed up like 10 minutes after it was over. And then the guy that I was trying to get a hold of, like, literally got on a plane and went to Germany.
Oh,
So, it's cool. It's cool. We're in contact. I'm on the freelancer list for the Warhammer Wrath and Glory stuff, so it's all good. But like, yeah,
bad timing.
yeah, I know, it was just terrible. And then I got to be on 3 panels, which was cool.
Oh, cool.
What did we do? We did non-combat encounters, which was fun because John Kennedy was in that. He's a friend of mine. We had him on the show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Andreas Walters, who was the guy who needed people for the panel. And then Kickstart Your RPGs, which was fun. I bring a lot of levity with me because I'm very laid back. So
You'll never heard of that.
yeah, exactly right. Like I'm like always like leaning back in the chair like this, playing with my feet and shit.
Smoking up, you're good, man.
Yeah. And then we did alignment in RPGs, which was great because there was this like he must have been like 17 or 16-year-old, and he had taken over the D&D group of his school, and there was this basically a sociopath that refused to do anything but chaotic evil. It was a serious problem for him. So I think we helped that kid. And I gave my card. I was like, if you have any other questions, let me know. But like, don't be afraid to punish this motherfucker being chaotic evil. Like that's what happens. Yeah.
Like, it is within, as defined by the system, morally reprehensible actions. Society in general does not appreciate that.
Consequences, man, consequences. Maybe hell takes an interest, like. Yeah.
Edgelords.
So, that was cool.
What do you do about them?
Indeed. Oh, that was my other big thing at Gen Con.
That you're an
I
edgelord?
got to playtest spiders and souffles. Which was very enjoyable. Got to do all sorts of cooking-related recipe things. Got to do my gangsta accent.
Savannah, by the way, something you said must have triggered something in my brain during that 5th ed game. We have 4 Outlanders in our group, and their ability is you can find food for 5 people every day, and we're walking through the jungle, and there's the druid in our group likes to eat spiders. Long story. So I go ahead, and I'm just sitting there like this. I'm just like, you guys see what I got? And I pull it up. I'm like, it's a spider muffin. So we paid for our horses' barding and like where it was staying while we're exploring. With the food we had acquired over 4 days, it's like 20. There's like 2 people in the stable, so we have like 20 days worth of food for them, and they're like, "Cool, that's what we're gonna spend our money on anyway." And I'm like, "Come here, lad," and I bring up the son. I'm like, "I got some for you. It's a spider muffin," and he's just like, "Oh my god, thank you!" And he eats it, it's crunchy, the legs sticking out, and we're like,
I'm glad you like it.
They
ended up using the liquid that becomes spider silk. They were specially bred milking spiders. They used the spider milk as a base for a ice cream.
I love it.
That's great.
Fantastic.
That's dope.
Yeah. And I expected 5 people. I ended up with 7. And that was more PCs than I had made. So the extra person played a level 1 commoner, also known as the Drunken Fisherman.
Love it.
And used his profession, fisherman, to do very weird things, like he grappled a gremlin with his line and pulled it off of the bard, and it was good.
I love it.
It's dope.
Yep.
The only games I got to play them were the Munchausen game, is it? But it's like that every year.
Yeah, such as life.
I would have been like, Mike, did you film it? But I don't think you need to film that one.
No.
That is one you do not film.
Not to be filmed.
No.
I did make a big deal, and I guess I'll get to talk about it next week.
Cool.
And it's killing me that I can't, because if people can shit the pants, it's so awesome. Fuck.
Deep breaths, Mike. Deep breaths.
I will not indemnify myself.
So,
yeah.
Are we good to move on here?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was like dope. There was a Legend of the Five Rings thing where they like walked in with everybody in samurai gear.
That's cool.
To like a taiko drum. It's on my Facebook somewhere. What you
That's
got?
fucking cool.
Oh, so speaking of cool things, one last thing I just wanted to bring up again. The escape room was actually a lot of fun and totally worth it.
So we did an escape room out here in Phoenix. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, we did it was the KGB, and
Nice.
Yep, KGB interrogation. And I won't spoil it for anybody, but it was totally awesome, totally worth the money. So if next year they're doing the escape rooms again, absolutely suggest you go.
I do have something. So the first thing I bought a few things because I actually had money this year. I bought stuff like a Rilakuma backpack that she wanted, very specific.
Mike,
Like
you
it had
are a
to be
little
made.
dark in there, by the way, so I'm not sure if we can see much.
But the first thing I bought in the dealer's room was this print, well, a much smaller print of Namir here from To Stake a Vampire from Claudio Poses.
We can't see that so well, Mike, on the feed.
You can see him. It's just very dark. He's a
Yeah, I was gonna
vampire
say we
monster.
can see his spooky face hovering there.
Yeah, that's about it.
It's
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Mike's Facebook. You should check it out.
Yeah,
Check out
yeah.
the armor and stuff. That looks really
So I forgot about it. Like I left it in the hotel room on like that little tiny mirror. So like the maids and stuff will not notice it, and whoever gets that hotel room next will only notice it when they lay down on the bed, which is just like fantastic. So whoever gets a room 1443 at the Sheraton Inn
So
downtown.
so it's like the people who used to like the Gideon guys usually the Gideon's Bible in the hotel rooms. You're just leaving like vampire prints. I love it.
Right?
Yeah. No, I support this.
And Claudio sent that to me for free, and it's even bigger than the one I got. So yay to go, Claudio! You're awesome. Thank you,
Nice.
sir.
So
And,
so other media of interest,
Oh.
I think.
oh shit! I forgot, and I can't get them because they're so big. The Andreas Walters and some other people, the people who did the art for D&D, like the art house, they had this huge print, like way too big to fit in a conventional car. Like if I had a sedan, I wouldn't be able to take it home. But I found it, and it just said like free GM screen. It's like 5 feet high,
Oh wow.
and it's like it's fucking massive. Like it must have cost them like over, I'd say probably about $200. And it just said free GM screen on it, and I was like. And so I just picked it up immediately, and like I took it back to the booth, and I had to make 2 trips between the convention center and the hotel to get all my shit from the dealer's room into the booth, and then like I had to fold the one a little bit, and even then I could only kind of see out of the back window. But
That's
I
good.
made it all the way back to
Positive.
Pittsburgh, and yeah, now I
That's
have
good.
3
Kevin, you
massive
back here?
pieces of art.
All right.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
Kevin's back
that's it.
with us.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, I was just talking about my free art haul. It was
Yeah.
great.
Oh no, I was here with you. I just had to put it on mute for a second.
But yeah, that would be, I think, it for me for Gen Con. Yeah.
So yeah, other media of interest. Mike, do we want to talk about Defenders yet?
I'm willing to talk about Defenders. I
Guys,
watched it.
You, Savannah, Kevin, you guys down for this?
I'm good
I
with
mean,
it.
I won't have anything to discuss, but I mean, I'll provide color commentary.
Cool.
Okay.
And by the way, your hair is an awesome color to add commentary to your face.
I guess.
I don't know where that was going. That kind of went like I got. Nope, never mind. So anyway,
Her
Defenders.
presence.
Yes.
I dug it. There were some things I didn't like about it. It was short, and if that's one of your complaints about a series, is it's short. Iron Fist was slightly better than he was in Iron Fist, but he still.
No,
I
what?
hear that's a low
Are
bar.
you serious?
What?
What's so funny is
He was horrible.
Yeah,
He was
but
still just god awful.
He was right.
Oh.
He went from
And I
a
feel
like
0 to a 1 out of 100. So you know.
And I hate to go like out of order, but the final scene, like, are you fucking serious?
his stupid outfit.
Are you fucking serious? No, him getting out. Like, are you serious?
Yep.
He's just like, oh my god, I hope he's in El Salvador or some just like, totally fucked place. Like,
Minor spoilers. By the way, spoilers. But yeah, I do like that they actually had some chemistry between the characters. The kind of cool lighting tricks were nice.
Did you see the meme that was just like Luke Cage, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and then Rosario Dawson be like, the Defenders were awesome.
Yeah, I read the article that was here is the things you need to know about Iron Fist so you don't have to watch it
Yep.
before you watch the
So my
Defenders,
wife is
so-
going through Iron Fist right now, slowly, and she's like, the first 2 episodes, she's like, oh, this is so cool. I'm like, wait for it, and she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, just wait for it, and like 2 episodes later, she's like, he's a whiny bitch.
No
It
lies.
really is.
I like that, like, Luke Cage at one point just, like, I'm gonna use it, I don't know, black explains him. Like, he's just like, dude, check your privilege. Get the fuck out. And he's like, what do you mean? And we're like, he tries some, like, wonky, like, kung fu, like, wisdom, and Luke Cage is just like, stop. No. And I think, like, the people who are writing just kind of knew it and were like, just stop. Go away, please. Okay,
I don't know, some of that
that
plot felt really heavy-handed too.
You know what I learned recently?
Hmm.
Do you remember the dude who was the drunken master in Iron Fist?
yes.
The best fight scene in that series.
Yes.
He was going to be Iron Fist.
Oh.
And he had charisma.
What?
He had character. He had
Well, hold on.
kung fu skills.
They could
saw
still
that.
make him into. They could make him into Randall,
I
the guy
really
who was
hope they
Iron
fucking,
Fist
like,
just before Danny Rand.
I know, but I just hope they make him into
It's dope
something.
because he's like totally a heroin addict. because he found out that he can use drugs to suppress the Iron Fist and like hide from all the enemies, and so that he's just like been doping up since like 1950. Oh, it's so good. The run of it is so fucking good. That's when they introduced the other Eternal Cities, and like Fat Cobra and fucking the Hero of Orphans and Lady of Spiders. Oh my god.
By the way, you know that was supposed to be Sister of Spiders in the fucking Kung Fu tournament thing, right?
Why did they make it Lady of Spiders?
That's it. They called her the Sister of Spiders, and it's like.
Oh, is that a proper name, Sister?
That's what. That's what I think they called in the MCU, but that's who it's supposed to be. And I'm like, that's not her. Don't fuck with me. Come on.
Oh, that they had in the Iron Fist series? This is the same one.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was disappointed they used her, frankly.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, I understand because the old Chinese gangster lady is the grandmother. I get that. But, like, Where's Davos? Where's that at?
So, here's the weird thing. They have,
like, the purple Iron Fist is what I'm talking about. The Steel Serpent. Like,
so they have, what's her name? Sigourney Weaver in the series, and she has some good screen presence.
Yeah.
But the problem is, she's a useless character who's, you know, that the show don't tell thing. They kind of dick that up. They're like, she's super smart and plans everything out, Batman style, like 30 moves ahead. And minor spoiler, she's an immortal, and so she has like hundreds of years of like connections and doing all this shit. And she constantly gets her plans ruined by like random things. She'll just be like, she's like. Literally, right after she's like, trust me, I got this great plan. Her head gets cut off unexpectedly. And I'm just like, best planner in the world.
That feels a lot like the Cassandra curse, you know, where it's like, oh yeah, you can totally see the future, but no one will believe you. Oh yeah, you can totally make these really great plans, but like, stupid shit will happen.
Well, the thing is, they kind of hinge the series on the two people that, like, no one we're not the strongest points. Like, instead of like, who were the two breakout stars? Well, I mean, you have Daredevil kind of like in the numbers, but Luke Cage and Jessica Jones were kind of like the heavy hitters in terms of like performance, but they gave most of the series to Iron Fist and Elektra.
Oh yeah, that was a bad choice.
And things though, there are some really cool fight scenes in there. There are some legitimate things, but they kind of reuse it a few times, and it's
that first fight scene was so bad. Like, where they're in the sewers or whatever, like, that was just fucking terrible. Everything about it was bad. It was like, instead of making a Eraserhead, David Lynch decided to do a martial arts movie. That's how bad it was. Like, I couldn't...
Well, they just brought it over as deleted footage from Iron Fist and put it in the Defenders to start.
I mean, it might as well be that. They kind of stick with the hand, and they somehow... I don't know how Netflix managed to do this, but they managed to make a death ninja cult. Like, mystic death ninjas.
They were so fucking cool in Daredevil, and yeah, they were definitely
like,
nearly as fucking cool.
The other thing is they have this weird thing where, like, some fight scenes, they'll just be like, you know what? No one's using guns here. No one needs to use guns. And then the next fight scene, they're like, guns everywhere! And you're like, oh, because Luke Cage walked in, and they can actually have a person. I'm like...
Not
Kevin,
enough.
what were you saying?
Yeah, what were you saying?
Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that it seemed like the hand, the ninjas under Madame Gao were a lot better trained and a lot more what we expect of the hand than those that were under control of both the guy from Iron Fist and Sigourney Weaver. Yeah. I feel like we deserve to have some of the ninjas that were training under that guy that was like the super awesome hunter guy that we only saw for a grand total of 10 minutes across the entire series.
Yep.
He was awesome. He was dope. I still remember that fight. He like drops from the ceiling. He's been holding his heartbeat. Like, that was great.
Yeah, that was cool, great. And then you didn't see it.
Yeah.
But say the whole thing is like...
No, so a lot of the dialogue felt forced, right? Like,
I liked it.
Part of the thing that, for the most part, but like a lot of Jessica Jones' lines just were flat for me, which was weird because that was one of the reasons that made her series so good. Because her line delivery was awesome and her dialogue was great.
Well, one of the things I feel like is that Jessica, like, as a character, if you were to just like take a scene like and just like put it in the void, her scenes, if you watch them, she has that same flat affect on a lot of things, but when she's playing off someone else, it works a lot better. Because a lot of times it's, I'm pissed, I'm angry, I'm pissed, I'm angry, I'm snarky. And then it's like, and it works okay, but in a larger context when she's someone to work with. Like when she's working with Luke Cage, it's great.
Mhm.
But when she tries talking with like Charlie Cox, or who's still the least interesting character in his own series,
It still felt awkward, man. Like
I
mean,
liked it overall. I had a fucking blast while doing it.
it
I
was hit or
enjoyed it.
miss, and not like the 900 average I was used to.
It
Yeah.
was not. I'll give it a B plus. It wasn't like A plus for me. But I enjoyed the shit out of it. I gotta tell you, I still did.
It took a little while to pick up pace too. It was a little weird.
It did, and
And at the end, the pace was just like frantic.
I really hope that they have like phase 2, as it were, is more go do something crazy. You know what I mean? Like show us
Go to
Kunlun.
Kunlun.
Like
Yeah.
go fucking. I know you have a lesser budget, but like toss Daredevil into like that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking like a South American country. Toss him somewhere fucking weird. You know.
It's,
The cool thing
What
is,
I'm worried about is I've heard that season 2 for Jessica Jones, that was supposed to come out like eventually after the Defenders, the 1st season. Anyway,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, they're
So
just
what I'm
letting-
worried about is I hear that there's like flashbacks to the whole like Killbane, Purple Man part of
Yep.
her life.
Yep.
And I feel like, and I haven't seen it, so I can't judge it, but I feel like that's overall just going to make the catharsis of the first season
Yep.
kind of weaker.
Mhm.
Because like as someone who has like dealt with like physical and emotional domestic abuse, like watching her murder the fuck out of him at the end was amazing.
And, I think-
And there was just all that like relief that made all of like the stress and ickiness of the past couple episodes worth it, and to like have flashbacks, it's like no, we have put that to bed. Go do something else. There's trauma elsewhere. At least make a new trauma.
yeah.
hopefully they'll like do a good job of tying it to things that are important to the plot, right? It's
Yeah.
not just like have trauma. It's like
Yeah.
have trauma and a clue. You know.
Have trauma will travel.
I'm holding out hope that what they decide to do with it is to just make it more of a more like a background thing, right? So we know that she's still experiencing that trauma, and so is her friend, who they said we were going to see him having those shocks with Kilgrave like she used to in season 1.
We'll see.
So one thing I gotta tell you right now, and I know people are, I posted on this on Facebook. People are violently disagreeing with me over it, but so I saw the Punisher trailer, and I am
Talk
not
about-
interested.
Oh,
Same.
I don't watch trailers,
Well, so-
but I would definitely watch it when it comes out because I fucking love the Punisher.
Well, here's the problem, right? Punisher in the comics is great when he specifically, or I won't say specifically, because there's some really good plot lines with him, but particularly
Beats up
when,
the Hulk.
What?
He beats the Hulk.
Okay, no, that's actually what I'm talking about. Is when he's compared, when he's the normal dude with a bunch of, he's the murder
All
hobo with a shotgun.
anti-heroes do better with a foil. That's just
Yeah,
how
exactly.
it
When
works.
he has a superhero foil is what I'm saying.
Yes.
When it's just Frank Castle, crazy dude with gun running around with a skull shirt, capping gangbangers and PMCs, it's not as interesting as Punisher versus Wolverine. You know, like, that's kind of cool to be like, I'm murder hobo with a shotgun Batman. And I'm like, cool, with a sense of justice even. Like a very dark one, but yeah, black and white justice, murder hobo with a shotgun dude is cool. Like, I dig that. Like, his role in Civil War was a lot of fun, the comics.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know. I like the Punisher a lot. Like,
Well, here's the thing. The problem is the
Ugh.
trailer shows no fantastic elements. It just looks like him shooting a bunch of, like, vaguely paramilitary dudes.
see, this doesn't sound bad to me.
But see, the
Like,
problem is I feel like I need something like,
Like,
it's a superhero
what
series, let's make
bothers
them
me about
superheroes.
that is that you're saying he only shoots them. That's what bothers me about that.
I don't
I
know.
want to
I
hear
don't know
about
if he
him
only shoots
stringing
them.
them
I-
up a
he beats
piano
them up.
wire
It's
and like.
action.
That's
If you-
one of the cool things about it is where he takes like there's like a vengeance to it, and a lot of the deaths he inflicts people are fucking weird and really neat.
It
You
just
know,
feels,
like
it just feels like it's gonna be like an action movie that would be like a mediocre action movie that'll be stretched out over 12 episodes instead of being like,
see.
check it out, he's fighting fucking, I don't know, the Juggernaut. You know, like if
Oh.
he's just fighting something like cool, get some cool villains and like crazy death scenes and whatever, I am so down for that. But it just looked like a really boring 12 episode action series. I'm just like, please do something creative with this. Just don't make this, like, you have a good actor, have him do some cool stuff. don't just throw him up against a bunch of like generic baddies.
Speaking of pissing people off and women, I released the first of the Warhammer 40k D&D 5e hack, and in it specifically, I'm like, if any of you want to play a Lady Space Marine, play a fucking Lady Space Marine. I will give you extra stuff. And on Facebook, I had a couple guys who got pissy with me, and I actually dealt with them. And by the end of it, they were like, "Oh yeah, it is kind of shitty that like the superhumans are always depicted as males." I was like, "Yeah." Imagine trying to get your daughter to get interested in this, and you have to be like, "Oh no, the coolest stuff is in the boys only club." Like, fuck you.
So-
but
Yeah,
on
well, it's
Reddit,
kind of like when ladies could only have a 16th strength in old school D&D. It's like, what attracted me to D&D was the phrase that said, "Women are no less like strong than men," and I'm like, I like this game. And
So
Like-
I'm a big part of the Warhammer fan community. Fuck my corgi. back
they were like, "Oh, the sisters of battle," and I was like, "Oh, great! So like, she can be silent. That's great. That's what I want to teach my kid."
there. Yeah.
oh,
But you can be powerful by accepting silence in society.
So
like-
oh, that's awful. Why
I
did
know.
they
Yeah,
do
I know.
I mean,
that?
they're cool. I like the sororitas and stuff, but like, that's not a great value to be taught.
it's not for everyone either.
No.
So like I said, I'm part of the Warhammer like fan community. They have a big wiki. I contribute a lot to it. And that stuff gets thrown up a lot. That kind of toxic masculinity, like, no, man, you have to understand, they can only be implanted in them. Like, I don't fucking care, dude. Go look at your old versions. Squats existed. There are absurd things in the universe. There was once a half Eldar librarian of the Ultramarines chapter.
I maintain that they've left enough like enigma to it all that like the lost Primarchs could totally be women.
And here's the thing, I totally just want to write because I write.
I think there's like
chapters.
12 different fruits they have to pick from for when they do it.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Like that's definitely one of the fucking fruits.
Totally. And I'm just like, you know what? At some point, like, I just want to write up and be like, no, this is legitimately how it works. Because they have a bunch of rules on their site over what you can, like, content can be posted on their fanon site. I'm like, guess what? I'm going to violate all. I'm not going to violate any damn rules by posting that. They can't be from the Lost Primarch is the only thing. I'll be like, I don't care. This one, it worked. That's what all you need to know. So anyway,
Yeah, it's
we seem to have
Reddit
gotten a
lost
tangent
their
here.
fucking shit. Trying to think if any other media of interest that was particularly interesting came up. I know I've been out of it with work. Oh, Rick and Morty. Hey, Pickle Rick was at Gen Con. That was really cool.
I heard.
And then I don't know if you guys have been watching fucking Rick and Morty, but it's still amazing.
I'm sure it's fine. I literally cannot get past Rick's grossness and cannot watch it. So
The last
go for
episode,
it.
there literally was a toxic Rick.
I saw that. That was fucking beautiful, dude.
It was really good.
No, Pickle Rick was amazing. This season's going really good. Kirk, relax. Sorry, my wife just left. So what's his name? Dan, one of the guys who makes it.
Dan Hartman.
Yeah. So he's actually making a new series with the Game Grumps. Kirk, relax, come here, buddy. That I'm pretty psyched about. What's it called?
Harmon Quest still? Did they have season 2 of Harmon Quest yet?
I don't know, but it's them as a bunch of like esports to comedy. He actually got to go on the show for a bit. It's kind of cool. I don't know. I loved it. So check out that episode.
Did you watch Harmon Quest at all?
No.
Okay, Harmon Quest, they play Pathfinder specifically, which is cool. And they bring on like celebrity people. They did season 1 already.
I know what it is. I just haven't watched it.
Yeah, dude. Season 2 apparently is coming out on September 15th.
Cool. All right, so let's jump into the Kickstarters.
Yes.
So.
All right, I think
Thank you so
Keith
much.
listed Seven
City of
Seraphs.
Talk it up, man.
Yeah.
Hey, some of us are somewhat involved in this, just so.
I imagine that he has already started putting you to work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin?
Oh no,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I thought we were doing the transition thing. So I was like,
Oh, yes,
no,
transition.
no,
Sorry, I forgot. We forgot the wave handed.
But yeah, Kickstarters, City of Seven Seraphs. I hear you've been involved with that somewhat.
So I am not involved with it, unfortunately, personally. However, I did back it, and it is a
Hey, that means you're
wonderful
involved with
project. Yeah, well, yeah, no, that's true. I backed it. So it's being run by Kristen Swords,
Yep.
And
We've done this. So me and Savannah are actually working on it. So we've pitched it a few times.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Yeah.
What about it do you think is coolest? It's this like it's not necessarily a campaign capstone thing, but that's what I think is coolest about it. Sort of like Sigil. It's where you go after you're done reaching 18th level and shit. Although he said that you can play like the whole thing from first level and onward. So
yeah, you
can. Yeah. What about it is most intriguing to you?
Oh, so far I've enjoyed watching all of the things that Kristen posts about, like the secrets being revealed and the puzzles that people have been solving and stuff. I haven't found any myself, so I have no idea how to even start. But I've enjoyed seeing what they have done, and certainly I do hope that the campaign finishes and gets funded here in the next 10 days or so that it's being up for.
Oh, it's definitely going to fund.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to fund it.
I funded at the print level because I'm terrible about wanting all the prints because the artwork is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It really is so far.
I'm really excited. I haven't seen the artwork for the stuff I wrote, and I'm really looking forward to it because I specifically made Pon Pon Academia have a crest of purple or of pink and gold. And it's run by gnomes, so even better.
Very
I
nice.
like it.
Okay, buddy.
Well, cool. Oh yeah.
But yeah, from what I hear, you can do low level stuff. You and your players just have to be cognizant that not all of the city is at your level.
Yeah.
Fun fact: the Temple of Coins will accept your presence at any level, provided you have something to bargain with. And let me assure you that trading away your soul is a quick, painless operation, and once it's over, you won't feel a thing.
What's the line from that first episode of Futurama? Lungs come out today. Gills come in Tuesday.
Yep.
So, let's see.
Yeah. Check out the link in the
next one
Kickstarter
is,
or in the description.
Untamed
Bestiary.
I haven't heard of this one.
Yeah. So Crystal Sully, the person that we were going to have on this week, but wires got crossed, is currently in the middle of funding several times over the Untamed Bestiary, which. Yeah, no, she was aiming for 7,000. They were at
500. They're at 45,000.
Yep, and I hope they make the next 10,000. She's going to be at Dragon Con shilling, so I hope they make the next 10,000, because if they hit 55,000, you get an option to upgrade your book so that you get a blacklight pin, and your copy of the book will come with like blacklight sensitive ink that shows the skeletons of the creatures.
That was so cool. I'm looking that over. That's so cool.
Yeah, no, it's just like insanely neat.
So what is this called?
The Untamed Bestiary.
Untamed Bestiary. I'll be looking that up.
Yep, Crystal does a lot of monster dragon themed things, so she put a lot of them together. They've unlocked a stat book now. Like, they've had to scramble for stretch goals because, you know, Crystal's like, I didn't think that we'd even fund, and like within the first day, they'd blown through everything.
That's pretty cool.
So, Crystal's awesome. You should definitely check out the Untamed Bestiary.
Oh, and it's for 5th edition.
And there's a picture of her playing with asses. She's drawing and she's surrounded by donkeys.
No, I don't think that's it.
Savannah's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like not computing. Yep, drawing the donkeys.
Board game. My mortal enemy.
Okay, so I don't know. The only reason I brought this one up, the next one is Warehouse 13. It's Warehouse 13. I have a soft spot for that series. It was so weird, so fun. I don't know. It just like was super camp, and they're trying to fund a board game. I don't know, dude. It's exciting for me. I want to make things more.
I'm glad that people can enjoy board games. I just don't.
Well, here, I mean, there's certain. I mean, you can go to like Avalon Press. Those are technically board games, dude.
Sure.
So.
I mean, when I play Life, it's very different from when other people play Life.
Oh, that's the fun part, dude. Like, Life and Monopoly become like a fucking war, dude.
That's
Lightning Monopoly?
I want to tell the story of Gary. He lives in a small town called Punxsutawn, Indiana. He's the son of a MILF worker, and his mom worked at... See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what happens when I start playing Life.
My brain thought you said he's the son of a MILF, and I'm like... Okay.
Also, a
but-
place the game could go. But like, I don't play life the way you're supposed to play it. I never end up doing that with a board game. It annoys the shit out of everybody else.
So do you guys ever play like Risk or like Monopoly with friends?
Mm-hmm. Used to play Risk all
I
the
know
time.
I
actually.
like to keep my friends,
Exactly.
so I do not.
I have been banned from playing Monopoly. I am mean as shit. It brings the worst out of me.
I also am not competitive. I don't like competitive stuff. So.
Well, so
I got a good.
Go
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh, I was gonna say, speaking of Monopoly, and I didn't want to stop you from telling your story. I just we 1 year for April Fool's Day, I always try to make an April Fool's game, and I ran my group through an entire game that they didn't realize until the end was actually Monopoly that we were playing. Yeah, like they were making deals with diplomacy and like trading things with people and stuff, and by the end of the game they were like, we're playing Monopoly.
Were there trains?
Yeah, no, it wasn't trains. It was like we did. I called the world Panem, and basically every time that they went to do something, I told them that Panem has these teleporting portals that you go into, and so you always roll 2d6 to determine where you end up. And so over the course of the game, they're rolling, and I'm like, oh, you end up in this garden. And this guy approaches you, and he's like, oh, I'm trying to get this garden to stay alive, but people want to destroy it, and I just need you to help me kind of back it up and everything, if you would. And they're like, well, what's it going to cost us to do that? And he's like, oh, I don't know, like 250 gold or so, something like that. And, yeah, and it was great. So, so somebody bought it, and then later on they came by, and he's like, I'll tell you what, I'll share you some of the profits as people stop by. And so somebody else ends up there, and he's like, so we're taking donations. And the next time he's like, oh, well, here's your share of your profits that you got from that.
Beautiful.
Nice.
So there was a game. So you guys probably have this problem too, where it's like you get invited to a game night with your group of local non-designer friends, and you're like, I can't.
Board
be a
games
dick
have
here.
their place. Board games have their place. I wouldn't say board games don't have their place. They do.
They do. So there's this time I go to this game, and one of the it was with designers, with like a design professor I had, and he was like, I want you to play test this game. And it's like American Megafauna or something, which is like, you play as a species, and your goal is to evolve and go and grow. And each region can have two different, one carnivore and one herbivore. They don't like lose herbivores, just like population control. And if your creatures are bigger in size, they get to do things. Well, I chose the mammals who could be carnivores and omnivores. Otherwise, everyone else had to choose one or the other. So I decided to feed them myself. It'd be like if, I don't know, like monkeys were herbivores and humans were carnivores and only ate monkeys. And I took over the entire world and destroyed everything by my cannibalistic, hybridizing, like could breed with each other species. And the professor's just like, what are you doing? I'm like, taking over the game. And I'm like, oh shit, we're supposed to have fun. Oh shit. So it was one of those like, I don't play that way when I play with my friends. I'm like, yeah, I'll roll 2d6. Give me your fucking boardwalk. I'll pay you all your goddamn my money, and then I'll make you my bitch. And I'm like, nope, gotta turn that off. Can't play that game. Can't win the game. Just have to play the game. Have to enjoy the game.
Yeah,
that is hard to do. So what's the last one on here?
Red shirts, which is probably going to end before this gets on YouTube.
We talked about this one before, didn't we?
We have talked about it before.
Cool.
It's well overfunded there in their last 45 hours.
I like the idea.
It's a good. It sounds like it would work well with Alien Party Bus.
It very much
which is why
will.
I brought up.
Yeah. And I'm totally
comedy
psyched that we
adventure
have the same
path for
kind of.
Starfinder is what we're talking about.
Yeah, I just ran it through the screen. Yeah, it's a great little like Futurama-esque like Hitchhiker's Guide kind of thing. I like that.
The Terrible Tacos is mission 1.
Love it.
And the Pirate Bonanza is mission 3. That's excellent.
I like it.
Yeah. So that's it for Kickstarters for me. I think. I don't know.
It.
Like I said, I've been head down working.
So yeah, Kevin, guess what?
Yeah.
Your chance. Floor is yours. What do you want to talk about, buddy?
Oh goodness. All right. So how much time do I have so I know what I can start getting into?
5-10 minutes.
10 minutes.
What do you think? Yeah.
5-10 minutes. Okay. All right. So let's see. Wow. I know I've been reading about this all night, and I was waiting for it, and I just don't know. So okay, let's start from the top. So I know. So at Gen Con, we released a game for Samurai Sheepdog. We actually released it with WizKids.
Cool.
The game is called, 2 games actually. The one I'm going to talk about first, though, is Approaching Dawn, The Witching Hour by Ken Shannon, my esteemed associate and good friend. Basically, the Approaching Dawn Witching Hour is a game where you play a coven of witches, right? And we're not talking like hags. We're talking like actual pagan Wiccan witches.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough representation of that right now in a good light in media. So having that be something that we put in a game actually makes it a lot more fun for that, and it helps to bring more attention to it. So the game has you play. You're this group of witches who accidentally opened up a portal to. I don't think the final game ended with it in hell, because it's really a game that's more kid oriented. But it's like an evil portal, and there's these demons all coming through, and you have to stop them before the day ends, because otherwise the portal will stay open and destroy everything. And so the game actually plays really fun, because what it is you have your powers that you have, and in order to invoke your powers, you can use light magic or dark magic. Light magic is not as strong as dark magic, but it helps to keep everybody sustained and alive, so that they can last longer into the game. Dark magic is power, like you just but it's at a cost. The person usually next to you ends up taking extra dark magic on them, which means that they get closer to death as they play. And so it's a balancing act of you trying to keep everybody alive, because if anybody dies, the circle breaks and the game ends. And so you have to make that decision as, okay, well, I gave my friend a bunch of dark magic last turn, and we haven't had anybody use white magic to remove it, so I'm going to try and take it a little bit easier this turn. Things like that. It plays over, I want to say it's 12 rounds. Basically, it acts like a clock, right? So there's like a little clock timer that you move one turn around every time somebody goes and finishes their turns.
Yeah.
And there's different scenarios. So the game itself comes with several scenarios that you can actually play from the start. And they had one special scenario that they released with Gen Con that allowed you to play as ancient witches that had come before you, that are actually trying to break out of the portal to get back into the real world. So the game's a lot of fun. We got a chance. I actually went with Ken last year, and we pitched it to a bunch of people. Actually, no, it wasn't last year. It was the year before. But we pitched it to a whole bunch of people at this speed dating thing at Gen Con, where they pair you off with group designers, and they're like, oh, we like your game, or this is why we really don't like it, and then they move on to the next one. And WizKids ended up picking it up, so it's actually going to be released around October, pretty much near Halloween, and it'll be available anywhere that WizKids can sell games. I think Target's one of them, and then a bunch of others plus online. So
Awesome.
Yeah, great game. So the other game was, and I'm not unfortunately as familiar with this one, but it was called Tournament at Camelot. And the gist of this game is it's a trick-taking game. Where you basically you're at this tournament and you're competing against your friends to try to see who can win based on the things that they do that are all like Arthurian legends and stuff like that. Again, sorry, I'm not too familiar with that one, but it's I've been told that is a really fun game, and a lot of the people that have reviewed it so far seem to like it. So they sold out of Tournament at Camelot, and they almost sold out of The Witching Hour while they were at Gen Con. So,
wow.
Oh, yeah, very happy. Ken is super excited about it. We all are. And, so there's those. Let's see, we've got Hal. Hal Greenberg is our other friend that we work with, actually. We're all partners.
I have drank and ate with that man, so I understand.
Yes, and Hal is a great person to hang out with, especially. But so Hal Greenberg handles all of our novel writing and stuff like that we do for Samurai Sheepdog. And right now, he and I were talking about just recently, we're going to do we're looking into setting up Kickstarters for not only the Awakened 3, the third book in our Awakened series that we have, but also a book called The Isle of Bones, which the Isle of Bones it's still set in the world of the Awakened. And just as a brief summary, in the world of the Awakened, humans at the age of 19 gain superpowers. They don't always gain them, but sometimes they do, and sometimes when they do, they're in an area that people don't like that particular thing. So they might get persecuted or captured, or they might be celebrated. Like, oh my god, this person can help raise crops, stuff like that. They can also get an animal companion that'll show up, and that animal companion is your awakened companion. You have what's called mind speak. You can talk to them, basically sharing thoughts with each other and stuff. And the first two books, they're both anthologies. The third one's going to be the same. It's all collections of stories. And they tell you different tales of different heroes and characters within that world called Grimaton, and what their experiences are, either being awakened or having awakened for the first time. We have collections of authors. I've written some stories for it now. I'm in book 2, and I'm going to be in book 3. We have stories from Ed Greenwood, Darren Drader, Kevin Colt,
Monica, and
the Marlows.
The Marlows, yeah.
We saw that one. It was a good one. We heard about it. Speaking about it.
Jolly Johnson, Ty Johnston, Rice Smith, and I'm sorry if anybody's watching this. I apologize if I didn't remember you. But we have a lot of them, and certainly if you look up The Awakened by Hal Greenberg on Google or on Amazon, you will certainly find it and the list of authors there. But that said, so we're looking into Kickstarters for the Isle of Bones, and the Isle of Bones is basically another continent in the same world where actual fantasy races live. So the main story for The Awakened focuses only on humans, and that was done very specifically because we wanted the focus to be on the humans and the magic around them. So the fantasy races are on this other island called the Isle of Bones, where you get elves and dwarves and orcs and stuff like that. They're dealing with their own set of problems when they come of age and become awakened. And that will ultimately lead into the Awakened RPG, which we are working on. And I'm going to be working with Charles Clemens, and I do believe we have spoken with, but I don't know if we've gotten confirmation that Ed Greenwood would be doing the forward for that. And the idea behind it is that in the Awakened RPG, it's going to be pretty much standalone. Like, we're not planning for this to be compatible for you to just bring anybody into your game from Pathfinder. But within the world of the Awakened, you can actually play an Awakened character, or you can play one of the characters that isn't awakened, but has to deal with them and learn how to interact with them, things of that nature. We're going to have the Awakened itself currently. Really great idea from Clinton Boomer was to take the Awakened and make it a variation of the Kineticist class, which we will be we're experimenting with, and we're going to basically put out and kind of show that for people to see as we go along with the production of it. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, this sounds like you have a lot on your plate, man.
Yeah. No, the Kickstarter is going to be a lot of fun whenever we get around to it, and then the RPG, once we actually start putting things together with it, is going to be pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it in the show.
Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, anyway, thanks for coming on, man. It's a lot of fun.
No, thanks for having me. I mean, I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's good.
Mike, we got any closing words here?
I don't think any moonshots this week because my wife's standing here with her arms crossed.
Yeah, we went in overtime.
I'm looking at that game too. That's all right.
Yeah. I did have a closing thought about Gen Con. The industry's growing really fast.
It is.
Like, we grew from 1.1 to 1.4 billion in the last year, which is like 30%.
Mm-hmm.
And the licensing, man. There was so much licensed stuff at Gen Con.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's normally you see some licensing, but it was a fucking ton of it this time. Yeah, I don't know. There was something that we ended up talking about, like, in the after Gen Con dinner, like, right before driving home. Like, man, like, fucking everybody's getting licenses. It's crazy. Yeah. Like licensing of intellectual property. So it's like Street Fighter and Capcom and fucking Lord of the Rings, everything. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Bob Ross.
Yeah, even Bob freaking Ross. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Although technically his is public domain, isn't he?
No, he's not public domain. He can't be public domain.
Wasn't he on PBS?
He was. Does that make him public domain?
Oh shit, I don't know. That's a weird one.
No.
I think it.
PBS,
I don't think
it's a
it
public
does.
broadcasting system. That doesn't
Because you
mean
can't
it
just
is.
like make Sesame Street stuff and sell it. But Sesame Street isn't actually public domain. Oh shit, I don't know. Bob Ross might be public domain. I don't know.
But say, I'm
I
normally
feel
up on
like
that
somebody
stuff.
would have jumped on a Bob Ross thing if it had been.
Yeah, I don't. It isn't.
It sounds like somebody did jump on a Bob. Well, this will
Hey,
require.
man, I don't know how. That phrasing get pretty weird there.
All right, but yeah, next week. Do we know who is on next week? Do we have any idea?
I figured on swapping with Crystal.
Okay, that's great. So
we
come
can do
next
that, I'd love
week
it.
to watch Crystal Sully on the show, and we'll talk about the
Caveat: in theory, cannot guarantee, but probably.
Yeah.
Can totally guarantee 20% of the
We
time.
will
every
try.
time.
Also, we're going to be on Thursday next week.
Oh, so by the way, I looked it up. You can indeed. His show, The Joy of Painting, specifically is public domain. He
Yeah.
as a as
That
a
must be
person,
why
as a
it's all on
character-
YouTube.
Yeah, it's also streams on Twitch every now and then, actually, weirdly enough. But yeah, he himself is not public domain, weirdly, but if you're using from his show, you could.
Yeah, his
it's
character
weird,
on the
but-
show would be public domain. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because if it was completely and totally funded by public broadcasting, then it's public domain because that's public
Awesome.
money.
Awesome.
But Sesame Street is made by like a specific puppet house that makes money off merchandising and stuff, and sells or licenses rather Sesame
Music,
Street for a
yeah.
very like low amount of money to the public.
There we go.
All right, guys. So, yeah, guys, thanks for joining us.
Yes.
We'll see you again next week.
Thursday at 7:30 or
I
something.
think something like that. Yeah. Well, yeah, it'll be 3 hours beyond. So it'll be an hour. Yeah, it'll be moving an hour, I think.
Oh, so 8.
Well,
What?
we'll talk.
Look
about it.
on the page. We will say when it is. But Thursday.
All right, guys. Have a nice night.